It's done. It's finally done. I finally got back to Platinum 1 with my boys, the Ancient Warriors. This is despite everything that's happened on the ranked ladder. This is despite fighting a million Eldritch decks and Drytron, Sky Striker, Tri-Brigade, Invoked, Eldritch. Didn't matter. I finally got back to Platinum 1 with Ancient Warriors, and I'm pretty happy about that. And I'd like to do a deck profile, show you a couple of updates I did to the deck. It was definitely more difficult getting to Platinum 1 this time with Ancient Warriors. I made a few adjustments that I think made the deck a little bit better, and I think it could function a little bit better, especially with the decks out there. So let's take a look, and then I'll show you guys some gameplay. And I used Ancient Warrior Eldritch a little bit for the climb. I think I did like Plat 5 to Plat 4, and then I switched back to the regular Ancient Warriors. I made less mistakes with the regular one. I made a lot of mistakes playing with Ancient Warrior Eldritch, so didn't want to risk that, so I just went back to the good old-fashioned, normal, going second, Ancient Warriors. And this build is pretty similar, but I made a couple of changes that I think are pretty necessary. So, let's take a look. We got the Gamma and Driver package. Unfortunately, Driver is still a huge brick, but it is what it is. He, along with Gamma, are extremely useful. They can stop monster effects and get rid of a body on your opponent's board. So that could stop opponent's turn, potentially. I remember using Gamma on one of the Drytron monsters, and it completely ended his turn. So that's something good to know. And I also added Effect Veiler. This is my Royal Finish Effect Veiler, so I felt like I needed to add in him somewhere, and he's pretty useful. I would use maybe 2 more copies, but deck space is a little bit tight, and I only got 1 copy right now, so Effect Veiler is pretty useful. Anything that can stop opponent's monster effects is very good. And try to find the key moment, try to find the best choice when using the hand traps as usual. And he's also a tuner, but that never really came up. It's mostly important to use it on the opponent's main phase. We also got Ash Blossom, of course, the most common hand trap. I negated a lot of stuff, and usually Ash is enough to at least hopefully disrupt them. But some of the really crazy meta decks like Drytron, they don't care about this. So Ash Blossom isn't the best hand trap, but it's the most common, and it's the most applicable to more things out there. So it's still important to have, I think. And then we got my Ancient Warrior lineup, which changed a little bit from my first deck profile. I still have 3 Sun Mou. I think he's the best Ancient Warrior. He's going to be your starter, and his bounce effect is extremely good. If your other Ancient Warrior monster effect activates, he can bounce a card on the field to the opponent's hand. So that's really, really good. I used him along with Lu Feng usually, and sometimes even with Zhang Yuan, and we'll talk a little bit about him later. But yeah, Sun Mou, you want to see this guy. He is your main starter. He's going to send your cards away into the graveyard to get another card. And usually I picked Lu Feng because I think him, Sun Mou, and Lu Feng is an extremely powerful board, and it should disrupt a lot of stuff. So we got Liu Xuan. I dropped him down to 2. I found that during the climb, having 3 of him was extremely cloggy, and I really didn't like seeing him, usually. It's really unfortunate that his first effect isn't a little bit better if your opponent controls more monster than you do. I really wish this was if your opponent controls a monster, which would be, of course, a big buff, but Liu Xuan, he's your other normal summon, and I think that is important because you play a lot of high-level creatures, and unfortunately I bricked, quite a few times. So having a normal summon is really good and useful, especially when used with your Ancient Warrior Saga 3 visits. So when you normal summon something or special summon something with 3 visits, you're going to have another card added to your hand, and that's going to be really useful. And having a normal summon like Sun Mou or Liu Xuan or even Zhuge Kong, if the situation demands, you can hopefully fix the situation by getting another card. So having a normal summon is good, but I really wasn't liking 3 Liu Xuan when I played this deck more. So I think 2 is okay for now. I'll see if my opinions change, but that's, I think, what I like to do. Zhuge Kong, of course, is very good for the spell and trap negates. His special summon effect is very useful. This is what I would usually search with Sun Mou if necessary, or with the double Dragon Lords over here. So he can swarm the board if necessary. He won me a couple games by swinging into, with the others to get more damage. So Zhuge Kong, very useful. I still like him at 2. It really sucks to draw him, but it is what it is. Zhang Yuan, he didn't come up as much this time, but he's always appreciated. He's kind of like a battle protection a little bit. So it gives you another way to battle your opponent's monsters. Like, for example, I had a situation where Zhuge Kong was the only thing I had left, and I had Zhang Yuan in my hand. So I attacked with Zhuge Kong. My opponent probably had no idea what I was doing, and then I put this guy down. And I destroyed his monster, and I also destroyed another thing on his board, and that eventually won me the game. Because if a card your opponent controls is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one card and destroy it. That's why he's very useful in battle. If you end up destroying your opponent's monster, you destroy another card. He's also extremely useful with Lu Feng, who is a once per main phase quick effect pop. So him and Lu Feng, Zhang Yuan and Lu Feng together, they can pop up to 2 cards at once. So that's really good. Guan Yun, I dropped him down to only 1 copy. His special summon claws really annoyed me, and that's why I don't like him as much anymore, but he's still good to maybe have a turn 1 play. So the reason I don't like him too much is because if only your opponent controls a monster. There were so many times when I wish this said, if your opponent controls a monster, without the only, right? Only, because that means you need a clear board. And if you don't have a clear board, then he's basically a brick in your hand. And his effects never really came up, to be honest. It's nice to have, but he definitely could be replaced, I think. I think there are better cards than him. And Zhang De, he's my OTK buddy. He's the guy that won me a lot of games with his extra damage, because you can special summon him if you control 2 or more Ancient Warrior cards. So I would special summon him in combination with my other cards, and I would do a lot of damage because that's a lot of bodies on board. And you can see it in my replays. He was a big factor in a lot of them. The second effect never came up. I really never saw this ever. And I've played almost 100 duels, I think. So, second effect is cool to have, I guess, but definitely not necessary. Gameciel, oh my goodness, this guy. This guy has won me so many games by getting rid of boss monsters. Completely necessary. He is an honorary Ancient Warriors card. He is the boss killer. Honorary. I love this guy. There were even a couple situations where I had more than 1 Gameciel in my hand. So I would Kaiju, the opponent, boss monster. I would summon Gameciel again, the second copy, and that would lead to more damage, and that might be able to get the win from there. So I love Gameciel. And fun fact, if you activate another Ancient Warriors card with Sun Mou and you bounce the Gameciel that you put on your opponent's board, Gameciel comes back to you. So I used that almost 2 times one time against a Eldritch player, I think. So I would keep tributing his stuff with my Gameciel, and that was amazing. I love this guy. I also added, here's a new addition. Here is the Ambitious, the Warlord Cao De. So he is going to be the Ancient Warrior boss monster. I didn't really like him at first because of sending another card. His stipulation right here. But I thought he was a win more card, to be honest. But through testing, I've come to really love this guy. I think Ancient Warriors definitely need him because he's not untargetable. He's indestructible if you have another Ancient Warriors card. And that's one of the biggest weaknesses of this deck, is that you don't really have any destruction protection. The only thing you have is really Guan Yun. And he only says you cannot target other Ancient Warrior monsters you control with card effects. So your opponent can't do that, but if they play something like Raigeki or Lightning Storm or, a million different things, then you're totally screwed. but he would still be alive. And that came up a couple times, so they would wipe my board with Raigeki or something, and he would still be on the board. And he's a big body, 3k. Useful effect. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can special summon that monster to your field defense position. So you can steal their opponent's monsters. And this is really cool. I stole Eldritch a couple times and put him on my board and prevented him from, being the opponent's graveyard so he can't use his graveyard effect. And I stole a couple of True Draco cards, and that's really funny because they can't revive it because it's mine. So I love Talda. I think he's a really good addition to the deck. Really brings some power and brings some destruction protection for himself. Maybe one card might be enough to win you the game. And I think there's a replay of him winning the game completely for me. I think that's the Ancient Warriors Never Give Up video, so please check that out. He basically won me the game. So, I love this guy now. Lu Feng, definitely your best Ancient Warrior. Once again, once per main phase, quick effect pop. And unfortunately, if you don't have the highest attack warrior or highest attack card on the field, he will betray you. And he's betrayed me maybe twice or 3 times in over 100 duels. And when he did, it was extremely annoying. I was able to recover from, I think, 1 or 2 of them. But yeah, when he betrayed me that one time, it lost me the game. So you need to keep that in mind. But usually, he's going to be an amazing card. He's going to do a once per turn main phase pop. Very effective. Very, very effective. And can ruin a lot of boards. Using him along with Zhang Yuan and Sun Mou, really powerful. So, really good. Really, really good. We got my spell cards now. Raigeki, really good. Destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Yeah, I like it. Harpie's Feather Duster, absolutely necessary. Especially with no siding in Master Duel. You need some kind of back row removal, I think. 3 Pot of Extravagance. I changed the extra deck a lot to be more useful. If you remember from my first profile, it was basically useless. But I tried to change it to be much more useful. But the extra deck doesn't really come up at all. Like, you could live without this. And I think the draw power is really good. But, I used the extra deck a couple of times when it was necessary. But yeah, your extra deck doesn't really matter as much. So, Pot of Extravagance. My single copy of Lightning Storm, very useful. I think came in clutch a couple times. I really like it. Tenki, your Searcher. You can send this card from the field to the graveyard using Liu Xuan or Sun Mou as a piece of fodder after they're done with their effect. 3 Visits, the best Ancient Warriors card, of course. Really helps to grab another Ancient Warrior card. So usually, when I would special or normal summon another Ancient Warrior card, I'm going to search for either Lu Feng, or maybe Talda now, or maybe Zhuge Kong. And once again, it depends on your situation, what you want to do. But usually I would pick Lu Feng. And if I had Lu Feng, I would pick either Talda or Zhuge Kong. And now we change this a little bit. Borrowing of Arrows, it's still at 1 copy. The battle effect, or the stealing the opponent's monster's attack points, really helpful sometimes. And it can beat over a lot of powerful cards. I keep talking about Eldritch because I fought it a lot. But there was one situation where I stole Eldritch's attack. I gave it to one of my monsters, and I beat over him. And it was very good, very useful. I dropped this down to 1 copy. The coin effect really didn't really work out a lot. I really disliked the coin flip effect. Usually I would try to send him away with either Zhuge Kong or Sun Mou or Liu Xuan or something. So basically, when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can basically have your cards be able to destroy 1 card in addition when they declare an attack. So this can clear boards, but I don't think more than 1 copy is necessary. I had 2 copies initially, and it just didn't come up enough. But I tried to have more names. I wanted to have at least maybe 3 or 4 names in the deck for Zhuge Kong to send with his effect to negate spell or trap effects. And then 2 Cosmic Cyclone. This goes along with Harpie's Feather Duster. You need backward removal somehow. There's a lot of bad things out there, and you need to try to get rid of it with your backward removal. So that's going to be the main deck. I think this definitely is improved over the first version. I like it a lot better. I think it works much better. Yeah, it works really well for me. But we'll see if upcoming seasons change my mind. The only thing I can really see is maybe adjusting my hand traps, or maybe trying to switch them out for something else. But right now, I'm liking this setup a lot. My extra deck, it really doesn't matter. These are just some nice things to have. The Double Dragon Lord is probably the most important. Unfortunately, I still don't have a third copy, but I'm working on that. But everything else is not too important. I just added some things that I had extra. Ancient Gear Howitzer invokes Makaba. That's going to be with Cyber Dragon Nova. If Maximus, Dogmatica Maximus comes up, then you could send Nova, and then you can get like Makaba or Howitzer. Draco Berserker of the Tenki, a total badass. I pulled him, and I was happy to add him in, because sometimes I had Psy Framegear Gamma and Driver on the same time, and Gamma is a tuner, and Driver is level 6. So together they make level 8, and Draco Berserker is level 8, and I think he's a great card. When your opponent activates the monster effect, you can banish it. It doesn't negate, unfortunately, but it banishes it, so it might be able to, get rid of some problem cards. And it can also, get stronger. So he would usually get banished, with a Pot of Extravagance. But if he does come up, he came up maybe 1 or 2 times. He's always very appreciated. I really like him. And then we got Steel Swarm Roach. I also pulled him. It's pretty cool. 2 level 4 monsters to negate a special summon. That's pretty cool. He never came up. I've never once summoned him. But once again, he can negate monster effects. The Nova is for Maximus. Then we got some generics. Cerberus for monster removal. Phoenix for spell and trap removal. IP Masquerena into Nightmare Unicorn potentially, which could be a quick effect bounce, which is pretty useful. Double Dragon Lord came up less often, actually. I didn't summon him as much anymore, but he's still very, very useful. You definitely need him in your extra deck. He can get you another card. He makes your Ancient Warrior stronger. And he's a quick effect bounce into the hand. So I returned a lot of problem cards. And he gets over Destruction, Protection, and Battle Protection. Because he doesn't do that. He just targets them and then sends them away to the hand. And this gets over a lot of annoying things. So Double Dragon Oath, very, very nice. Apollousa never came up. Access Code Talker never came up. But it's nice to know that I have him. So that's going to be my deck profile for Ancient Warriors. I'm Platinum 1 now. Really happy about that. I achieved it, I think, a little bit longer than my first run. The first run I did it in like a week. And this one took me a little over a week, maybe 10, 11 days. But still really happy about that. And I'm looking forward to making more content with Ancient Warriors. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll have a couple of replays for you. Thanks a lot. See you later.